Hey guys, welcome to Rooted Truly with me, Josie. We're going to talk about why herbalism was illegal for Black people. Okay, let's go. So when my ancestors and some of your ancestors, depending on who's watching this, was kidnapped from Africa and brought here to the grand old United States as enslaved people, those people, let's get understanding, were very in tune with the land. Okay, very knowledgeable about plant medicine. And I also want to say, in the same way that all of our ancestors probably were not from chiefs and queens and royalty, all of our ancestors were not herbalists either. But herbalism was deeply a part of the African culture and still is in a lot of tribes today. But anyway, when they were brought here, again, very nature-tuned individuals, they, of course, took that same skill set, right? And they saw the land, they learned the land, and they started discovering what worked and what didn't. In some cases, they were able to connect with my other ancestors, the Native Americans, and figure out, like what certain herbs and roots and barks and, all those things did. And so I want to just make this very, very important. They use herbalism for two reasons, and that was for community, right? Which had always been in the center of why they use plants, is for the sense of community to help one another thrive and live. But now a second reason is survival, because they're getting beaten. They're having contraptions put on them. They are getting raped. They're being abused. They're in hard labor. There's so many factors, how babies were being born and then the moms haven't been tossed back on the field after a day or two, sometimes same day, depending on who owns you. So there's a lot of factors to where now this use of herbalism is aggressive, and it has to be aggressive because their environment is violent. So now we're learning and we're sharing and we're teaching and we're leaning on the healers that we do have, those people that are dedicated and have a different sense of knowledge, because it's survival. It's what's holding us together. It's also what's holding us down, right? So their owners start peeping game. They're like, well, how are these people able to, their wounds are healing. They're sick one moment and now they feel better. And so, of course, they're scouting and they're finding out, okay, they're using the land and they're using the plants and their gardens, which is another video, because we're going to debunk a couple myths about some stuff that y'all probably think that is not true. But, they're looking at their gardens and stuff like that. And they sit there and say, oh, crap, these people are healing themselves with this land. They're foraging and they're growing herbs and all this other type of stuff. So now, of course, in the greed, in the ignorance that they have, it's like, oh, we need you now to heal us. So now what is sacred and communal for us now by force has to be shared. So now when our master overseer, their families get sick, their grandma's getting sick, whatever, their kids getting sick that we already have to breastfeed from our own children, now it's our responsibility to make sure that we're taking care of them. So I can't imagine that level of stress of the same person beating the crap out of you, also expecting you to heal them and their family with the things that is, again, sacred and communal. So, moving on from that, rebellions start breaking out. Nat Turner happens. All these rebellions are just happening and happening and happening. And so there's like one or two poison attempts that go down on plantations. So word travels real quick. Y'all gotta stop these Black people from using these plants because they can kill us. And so this fear starts to incite, because now they're scared because they've seen us use bitter herbs and mask it so well to where our own people and our babies are able to not detect it or tolerate it when they eat or when they drink. So now here's this level of fear, right? Because there's already fear from the rebellions, but now there's this level of extra fear going on, because it's like these people are so good with the land and with these herbs and with these barks and berries and roots, and because they have the knowledge of which ones are poisonous and we have not invested into knowing, they can kill us at any time. So what do? We make it illegal. They made it illegal. They made herbalism illegal for Black people. And for me, as a Black herbalist, that comes from people that know remedies and tribes of people overseas that made it on the continent. Let me tell you this. This history screwed us up beyond all compare. Well, because you know what it did? Because it's directly correlated to other things, like how we stopped having land ownership, right? And how a lot of us fled north. And now we're in the concrete jungle instead of the south, because it was either fight for our lives down south, keep paying for land we'll never own, or go up north and try to get an education and have a different life and be a part of, like less racism, or really just different racism, right? So when they stripped herbalism from us, they also stripped us from what? The land. Because we were foraging. They weren't foraging those herbs. They weren't going out there risking themselves, amongst snakes and everything else. They weren't tasting things and trying things and formulating. They just used us for the wisdom and the knowledge, a lot of them. Now, granted, I know historically there's like all these articles and papers and books about how over here they had white herbalists and blah, 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 blah. That's fine. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the grand majority who had slaves. Okay, I'm talking about the people in the South who had enslaved people making their medicine. I'm talking about the people who own slaves, even in shady areas like New York and stuff, that use slaves to create medicine. And they took that from us. But what they also took away from us was the attunement we had with land. They took away. That was really the start to me of starting to take away our health. Because now they're saying your level of self-care, we can't let you have that because you may just use that against me. So please understand that when you are sipping these cups of tea, when you are giving your children chamomile, when you are cooking with ginger, you are restoring something so much deeper within yourself and within our community. When you share a salve or a homemade lip balm with your friend, or you create body butter and you gift it to a friend, or you make a bath soak and you give it to your sister, your brother, or when you rub oil on your husband, understand you are restoring a part of our lineage that was damaged. You are attuning back things that were originally stripped away. And please understand how important it is. We all may not be called to be herbalists. Even if you want to learn more about herbs, which I hope we all do, because they're out there and they're amazing and great. But even if you're not called to be a herbalist, or you don't feel pulled to be a herbalist, understand that it's that land and those herbal remedies are still a part of who you are. So if you're not the one doing it, buy it from someone like me who is. Because that's what our ancestors did. They may not have bought it, but it's a part of our community process. It's part of our communal fabric is there. It's a part of our health. The way that we take care of ourselves, the way that we love on ourselves. Okay? So I'll see you guys for I'll see you guys for another segment soon. Comment and let me know if this is something you knew. And if it's not, I want to know about that too. And I'll talk to you guys soon.